tell. You doing, Dr.
All
Issa?
right.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm broadcasting. Can you see me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you're clear. He's clear, right? He's clear to me. Is he clear, everybody? Dr. Issa is clear to me.
All right. All right. So yeah, I'm broadcasting from Ghana, West Africa. So my my I'm right by a tower, so I don't see the problem. But anyway, I'm still trying to learn this system. I haven't done too many Facebook shares with anyone. But yeah, as I was saying, I was a professor
Wait, we just lost you, Dr. Issa.
on campus.
They, where'd you go? You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, there we go. All right. The camera isn't
Can you
on you
see
though.
me?
No, the camera isn't on you.
Uh, I don't know what happened to my camera.
Does it?
Um,
Did you flip it? You see the option to turn it?
how
I'm
about
not.
now?
Yep, there you are. Yes, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right.
All
So in
right.
2012, I was arrested by campus police. Students had a protest. They had a lot of issues. The students were prevented from court documents. And you can go to the Dover or courthouse and request my file at the Dover Superior Court. All the records are there. Um, Students were suppressed from some students. A lot of students were prevented from going into the Board of Trustees. At the time, the president was Harry Williams. He's now the president of the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. Um, I thought he was a horrible president then, and I'm assuming he's a horrible CEO based on my experience with him as president of Delaware State. But um, they prosecuted me. The state prosecuted me under Bo Biden for several years. Was interesting at that time. The head of the criminal division, who was responsible for prosecuting me, although Bo Biden was the attorney general, the current attorney general, I can't remember her name right now. But she is the current Kathy something. She is the current attorney general. She was over the criminal division. And so, what we're about to talk about, she has access to all of these records, all of the lynchings, right? And that Matt Dinn, who was then the attorney general, he wrote through the force of me and Doug's activism. Especially when I moved up to Wilmington, Delaware, I was able to convince some of the elderly African Americans to press Matt Dinn in a series of letters to investigate the lynchings, and he subsequently sent a letter and said, there were no lynchings; they were all suicide. The typical thing that the state does. They always say that black people love hanging themselves. This is nothing new. This is white supremacy, um, um, legalese, sanctioned by the state. And so through that period, from 2012 to 2015, I had over 20 hearings, I think,
Mm.
and ended up in a trial that lasted 7 days. Some of the through the help of my great attorney, Sam Guy, who was the only one who could have helped me during that period, a great civil rights and criminal attorney. Um, they dropped two of the charges, and we went to trial on one count of resisting arrest, not knowing at the time that there were documents that the state had that they refused to release. Um, that would have just ended everything. But again, the current attorney general um, was was over the criminal division, and so remember, she's an elected official. And I want to say this to the young people out there. Do not fear these people. They should fear you, right? True democracy means the majority rules, not the state, not the tyranny of the state. They rule with fear. And that is not democracy, right? That is not how the country was supposed to be set up to be. And so I'm glad that these young people are now standing up and being courageous and challenging the system and exercising their constitutional rights. But when we tried to exercise our constitutional rights at a historically black college, I was arrested, and I was put under. The whole state came after me, and like I was saying earlier, it was because there was a presidential election of Barack Obama and Joe Biden. And I think the last thing they really wanted was a black man, a black professor, standing up in front of major TV stations saying that there are lynchings going on in the vice president's state. And let me tell you this, all of the traditional civil rights organizations sold us out. The NAACP, you can name them. Refused to help. The local chapters refused to help in any significant way. In fact, they became angered at me, but myself and Doug and a few other activists, we pushed through these lynchings. One day after I was arrested, a few weeks after I was arrested, I was at Silver Lake Park with my wife. I'll never forget this day. And we would often go around the park, and I would walk for exercise and to relieve stress. And I left my children playing at the park, and we walked around the park. I didn't think much of it, but I'll never forget when we walked around the first time. My wife said, "Let's go," and I said, "Why?" She said, "And never bring my children here without you keeping your eyes on them 100% of the time. Don't you see these white men following us?" And I'm like, no, I was totally oblivious to it. She said, "Don't you see this is an evil place? Don't you see it?" And I'm oblivious. This is a woman using her femininity and her female intuition, and she's tuning into something that I was totally oblivious to. She said, "Look, you are in trouble with the most powerful people in the country. The White House, this is the vice president's son. You're up here talking about lynchings. They've arrested you. They're prosecuting you. And they may do harm to our family. Let's leave the park now." And we left, and I think a week later, I got a call saying that my barber, Johnny Clark, all right, let me try
Take
to
your
do
time.
this because
Take your time. No, take your time. This is no. Take your time. Take your time.
Yeah, I got a call a week later saying that someone was found hanging on a tree in Silver Lake Park, and I don't know if it was a week later or a few days later. And I think my wife may have even told me. And I began to investigate because I didn't know who it was who was found. I mean, I couldn't believe it because my wife was just saying, this is an evil place. People are following us around the park. Be careful with our children. And when I started to investigate, I found out that it was my barber, Johnny Clark, who was found hanging on a tree. And I began to single-handedly talk to the families and do an investigation. And I think that's the time when I met Mr. Doug Beatty, who's a European American, but who's my brother. And I say he's my brother because he stuck with me through the entire period. He left an impeccable trail of articles on the subject, even with being harassed by the state and other people that I'm not going to go into, because he never really we never really talked about the other people who were harassing him for exercising his First Amendment right. But a lot of people didn't want us talking about this subject, and so I found out. Of course, this was my barber, and talked to the family, and nobody believed that he would go out to the park and hang himself. Doug, being a former investigator, if I may say, he had a lot of experience in security and just, former military. And he did an investigation, talked to a lot of people, and he believed too that there was no foul, that this young man would not have hung himself on a tree. And then from 2010 to 2015, there were several other people, and then there was one that was an attempted lynching of Henry Fordham.
Yes.
And Doug did a lot of work. We did work together, but he went deep into it because I was still suffering from just the traumatic of not understanding why a black president at a black college would prosecute a black professor for being at outside at a student protest. And it's interesting because a year and a half before the black students protested, the white students protested, the white equestrian team, and many of them were students of mine. And all of this, and not one person was arrested. So,
I want to say too. I want to say to I guess people probably are, but I'm paying attention also as Doug is also weighing in as well in the comments and expounding also on some things. I just want to bring the attention and bring the light to that as well. So as you're speaking, Doug is with us as well. Again, just bringing further information to us through the comments.
Yeah, he said the entire state. I forgot. See, I suffer from PTSD because of all of this. I don't remember a lot of things that happened, but yeah, they sent the entire state after me. Unemployment, child services. I'll never forget Doug and Don Ayat. These were two European Americans who helped me fight off the state child service who tried to abduct my children from my house based off of they stripped my son naked. Someone came from Beau Biden's office and said that I was beating my children, and it was hell.
I know. I've heard a lot. I have not. That's my first time hearing of that, man.
Yeah, I'm only reading what Doug is reminding.
Wow, man. So they
during this process, I had about shit. If I say I had 5 or 6 or 7 attorneys, and the state sent. I mean, it's the state; they can buy off anybody, and they fought me to the very end. They fought me to the, and before I forget, let me tell you how this thing ended. Right? This thing ended because the state got caught cheating. After the first trial, remember the first trial lasted, it took place 3 years after the event. They were preventing students. Students said that they were being prevented from coming to some of the hearings. This is America, y'all. This ain't China. This is Delaware. And this is all in court record. Let me tell you, the Republican Party, they helped me. Look, I'm not a Republican, but the Republican Party of Delaware, they helped. In fact, one, I can't remember his name. He's a well-known attorney. He was running for attorney general as a Republican. He came into the courthouse to support me. They refused to let him in the court.
Wow.
They refused to let this man, this is a European American, well-known European American attorney. And Doug could tell us who his name is. I can't remember, but I'll never forget they prevented this man from just coming into the court to support me. And until he said that he was the Republican candidate for Attorney General in the state, and he had a serious argument with the judge, that's when they allowed him to sit in. Wow. And he was like, I will go to the media about this.
Wow.
And I mean, it was some heavy stuff going on. And I pray that you can get Doug on a separate episode to talk about this, because Doug has a much vivid memory than me. But after 3 years of trials, where I was looking at almost 3 years in prison, and we did have a trial that lasted I think almost a week, based on one count of resisting arrest. Right? They tried me like I had murdered someone. Right? And they had, if I was to tell you the corruption within the state judicial system,
he said, you
would think that I'm lying what was going on. And the way the trial ended in a hung jury, and then Beau Biden's office decided to try me again. Right? And when they decided to try me again, and we were going to trial, a day before the trial, my attorney preceded me to court, and the judge decided to drop the charges because the attorney general's office and somebody in the judge's chambers were caught trying to preset the second trial. I mean, I can't make this up. This is all in court records. And myself and my attorney and Doug have records on that whole criminal process, because Doug was working for the radio station down south. Right. And he broadcasted live. He lost his job because of his refusal to back down from being a journalist in the state of Delaware. And I would often get on his show and say that Delaware was a totalitarian dictatorship, you know. And when people hear the word totalitarianism, they think of Nazi Germany. And I say, yeah, that's Delaware. That's how Delaware treated my case, like it was they were Hitler. And I was some person who they really didn't feel I had any rights beyond any white person. And so, the case eventually ended because the judge was forced to end the case. And he even said in his verbal statement, me and my attorney had the transcript, where he said that this has never happened before in American history, where the attorney general's office and the judge's chambers were caught trying to communicating about the second trial, or they were alluding to they were trying to fix the second trial guilty, and they got caught. And but this is Delaware. I would often call it Hellaware, because it was hell for me and my family at that time. I was homeless, I was divorced, and but I continued to stay in the state and fight. You know, I said that I would not leave. I know some of them wanted me to leave, and they did. They harassed me. They followed me. I started newspapers. The papers, I was being harassed with starting newspapers, followed by state cars and what looked like state cars. And of course, they would all deny all of this. They do no wrongdoing. But in the process, we did get Matt then eventually to send a letter saying, we did an investigation, and you black people, you like hanging yourselves. You guys swam across the Atlantic Ocean and enslaved yourselves in the United States, and since you've been here, you love just hanging yourselves on trees. That's your number one way of suicide. And
Right.
so, and they went on record basically, saying that. Um,
So, so,
so
what? So, Dr. Issa, man. So your contrast. So, up to the point where the pamphlets, began circulating on campus, and up to that point, your experience, as a black man in in Kent County, as a as a respected professor at Delaware State University. From that point, and then when you essentially, again, those pamphlets, and then thereafter, like, I mean, what did you did you have any idea that the state, that I mean, that level of, I'm not even sure what to call it, um that level of oppression, I'll sum it up and say that level of of political and police oppression existed in the state? I mean, was
I
it
was
news?
totally, I was totally, look, the day that they arrested me, I was threatening. I went to the FBI. This is on record. I'm not telling you anything that's not on record. I
Mm-hmm.
went to the FBI and told them. I set an apartment. I wrote them a letter, and they invited me in. And I told them that the day I was arrested, the Dover police threatened me in with my life while my hands were handcuffed, that I had to sign certain documents, right, saying that I would not go back on campus, and I refused to do it. And several white police officers started approaching me while my hands were handcuffed in the somewhere in the police department, and I was arrested on my hospital bed in front of my wife and children and students. Um, and they basically threatened, hey, we're going to hurt you up in here if you don't sign these documents. So, what do? You're handcuffed, you're in the police department. I know the history of police violence, and, I was basically forced to sign these documents. I thought that they would have killed me in there. And they start rolling up their sleeves, walking to me, and I don't know if those officers are still there. I did see one later, and I identified him, but I was determined that I was going to stay in the state and fight everything, you know. And so, no, at that time I didn't know that Delaware was had that level of repression toward its citizens.
Mm.
And so I was really shocked, being that the vice president was from that state, being that I was very active in the Obama campaign to get him elected, that the New York Times had did a story on me about when I was working at another university in North Carolina organizing for Obama. So I was really shocked
Mm.
at that level. And, I hope that you guys use this as a way to get attention to this, because the vice president is running for president. And
Yeah.
I really believe that this should be the center of, at least for the state. I can tell you this: you're not going to get much help from many of the black leaders there, because they are in
Mm.
part controlled
Mm.
by the state, and they're basically scared. They only can say certain things, but
Wow.
as Doug stated, that we went to Al Sharpton, Danny Glover,
They
Cornel
said
West, I had several
Jesse
conversations with
Jackson, right?
Cornel. Jesse Jackson. I had
Hmm.
several conversations with Cornel West. He would just look at me like I was crazy and walked away.
Mm.
And so it was shocking for me to see him in Ferguson. That's where I'm from. I grew up between Ferguson and the city of St. Louis. So I was there doing when that whole thing of Mike Brown, and to see him getting arrested and all of that, but he wouldn't say anything about the lynchings of black men in Delaware. I was just shocked.
So what? So Dr. Issa, what? I mean, you in your experience, why? Like what? Why? Why that level of suppression?
Yeah, I mean, it was the president, the president, you know what I mean? And then I think they were trying to, I personally think Bo Biden was the one who uh, would have been running for president right now. And I think they were trying to, they
Ah,
really thought that they underestimated me because they thought that I was going to take a plea. But my family and friends were like, take a plea for what? You didn't do anything wrong,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And they were like, no, fight this to death,
yeah,
fight it.
yeah,
And so my family, on my mother's side, they were like, nah,
yeah,
you fight it.
yeah.
And so they gave me a lot of moral support. So I think because they were looking out for Bo Biden's future,
Mm,
that he would one day run for president. And this is why, and they thought that I would just be an easy rollover, and they just underestimated me. And so I think that was the level. I mean, we're looking at the presidency and the future presidency, and now we see his father is now running because he subsequently died of brain cancer, I believe. So, yeah, this was the issue. Um, um, this was the issue. I'm reading some of Doug's
yeah,
things. He's trying to remind me of things,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah. So I would love to see justice play out for those men, particularly my barber, particularly Henry Fordham, who was a real live lynching victim. They tried to lynch him, and they covered that up,
Yeah, that was bad.
and yeah, there were other people. There was a young man found hanging on a tree at what's that not Wilmington, what's that other university in
Oh,
Delaware?
Wesley, the Wesley one.
Wesley College.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so
Yes.
yeah, it was sad. It was a really traumatic experience for me, and I just commend you guys for being very courageous and standing up to the system and having to experience what state repression really is. And the state or the elite really don't want people standing up for their rights. And
Yeah.
but you guys have defied that. And I pray that justice is brought about on that end, that we are able to really find out what happened. I'm sure Doug was able to give you a lot of good information
Certainly.
regarding. Yeah, we did some serious investigations on these men who we believe lynched John may have lynched Johnny Clark,
Yeah.
and attempted to lynch um, what's his name
Henry
ah,
Fordham or
Henry Fordham. Henry Fordham. So and other people.
now,
And
Doctor. I see. I think Doug may have. If I want to see if I could get Doug in for a second as well. Um, let me see. I know we've been on for a while, but it's all good actually. Um, can we see? I want to. Got you, Doug. I see that. Can we can we see Dr. Issa if can I get like a for at least for right now a last remark from you and see if I can bring Doug in right now as
Yeah,
well for
sure.
okay.
No, I'm like I said, I'm just happy that you guys are that some people are taking interest to this because for the most part it was me and Doug and we were able to get a few other people involved like I said Donna Ott who's a journalist he got involved. We tried to get I forget the lady but she ran for Senate and she defeated the Democratic incumbent during the primaries and was defeated by Christopher Coons. There's another thing. Senator Coons, he knows about the lynchings. We have a recording of him talking about the lynchings, and Doug played it on his radio station live. So
Mm.
this cover up goes way at the top now. It goes to the top. They know
Whew.
about it. Yeah, yeah, they know about it. Senator Coons, no, we got him on tape talking about it. Doug has a copy of that, and we played it live. One of my
Oh
former students recorded him talking about the lynchings.
yeah.
Yeah. And he said, "Oh, I'm going to investigate it," and he did nothing. So yeah,
There's Doug
Christine
with
O'Donnell.
Christine O'Donnell. Yeah, Christine
She was the
O'Donnell.
only politician who tried to help us, but they came after her hard
Mm.
for doing that. She even tried to get TV stations in from Philly. Her cousin worked for one of the news stations in Philly, but they came after her hard. So a lot of people got involved. The ACLU,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they joined in and then they turned against me.
Mm.
They turned against me, turned a blind eye against me. And, and you know what? I understand. It's the state. Who wants to fight the damn state? Fighting the state is like fighting God, brother. I'm telling you, it was,
Listen, I'm
you know,
listening to you. I'm
it's
listening to
like
you.
fighting
Say that
God.
again, please. Can you say that again?
Yeah, fighting the state is like fighting God. They have all the resources, and you can be innocent as all outdoors,
Mm-hmm.
but they would create an atmosphere to say that you were not innocent. And, I never understood what civil rights leadership went through as a historian of a U.S. and African diaspora history. I never understood it until I went through this.
Uh,
It's a very lonely feeling. You don't have a lot of friends. You will lose your family. You could potentially lose your own life. I think there were several attempts on my life at that time. Um, but I'm fortunate to be alive to live through it and to have created a record so that future generations could come through. And I was clear that I was creating a record. I was clear on that, and so
mm-hmm.
there is a record on this.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
the Delaware and the Dover human rights divisions
Mm-hmm.
have records on this. I have a video clip of testimonies of several families whose sons were lynched, and they testified at the Dover Human Rights Commission. I have video clips of it, and so when we went to the commission, they have documents
Mm-hmm.
on it. So we created a record. And the attorney
Yeah.
general, she has a record on it. All of the lynchings. So don't let them say they can't find anything. I can't remember. What is the name? Kathy
Jennings,
Jennings or
Jennings, Jennings.
Jennings.
Yep.
Yes. She has a record on this. She was over the criminal division. So she's well aware of this,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. And so so the suppression went all the way to the top of state government and potentially the White House, And so nobody wanted to deal with this issue,
Mm.
And now that we're getting more and more lynchings around the country, um, this could have been prevented,
Right.
right? Right in Delaware. And personally, um, I think this should be an issue that is brought to national attention. I don't think you're going to get it in CNN or anything like that, but there are other media outlets that will allow people to speak up about this. And we really need to get to the bottom of this.
Yes.
This is 2020 going into 2021.
So
So that's basically what
Katie is asking a question there at the bottom. You see that question there? Is there a way for us to access the testimonies of those families at the commission?
Yes, one. I have some of them on YouTube. One, two. As a citizen, you can request a Freedom of Information Act to get those things from the Dover Human Rights Commission. Also, we talked about this at several Dover City Council meetings on the record. There were newspaper articles, but yes, you can get a Freedom of Information Act from the Dover Human Rights Commission and the state human rights commissions on this. We went to several meetings. We talked about it. We were not ashamed of it. We put it in court records. There was this one paralegal named Ishad Austin. He put this in a case to the Supreme Court. He made certain to the U.S. Supreme Court, not the Delaware, U.S. Supreme Court, with this on the record. How do I know? I went to the U.S. Supreme Court and got a copy of it.
Got you.
So on the whole subject, he made cert, meaning that the Supreme Court looked at it, but they did not consider it. But he knew that they wouldn't consider it. He just wanted to make a record at the highest level of the country. Yes. And so we knew that we were making a record of this so that future people coming after us can say, yeah, there's plenty of information about these lynchings. There's plenty of information about those of us who were activists and who tried to bring this to the public.
Yes. Dr. Issa, you and we appreciate you, man.
Also, Doug Blog,
yes,
Strange Crew, yeah, he has a whole history of this, and Doug should be commended for this.
The recording that you made at the one commission hearing is on Doug's blog. Is he put in there? That's,
it is.
That's
okay.
where that's actually where I saw it. I saw I saw where I believe it was was it Mr. Conley's brother. No, it was Mr. Clark's brother, right?
Right.
That testified, and then also Henry Fordham was also there, present.
Yep.
He was seated in the back, and he also bore witness and gave testimony at the commission hearing as well. That is on Doug's blog. It absolutely. Doug put it you put it there in the I saw you put it earlier in the comments. So yes, I know it is up there. Doug, if the link isn't up there, Doug, can you please put the link up there? If you don't, then I'll put the link up. I'll make sure that when I post this and put and then circulate this, of course, that I put the link so that everybody can reference. Because we need to get as much attention and human energy essentially as possible to this, so that we can honor what you all have done so valiantly, and make sure that this that we see this through. Katie comment: your strength is indescribable for you to come out and still fight for what's right after all you've been through. It takes courage beyond words. That's how we feel, Dr. Issa.
Yeah, it destroyed. It really took 7 years out of my life. I haven't been the same. I was homeless for many years. I mean, I was straight up homeless, living on the streets, living on floors of people's homes. You know, you would think someone with a PhD from a very prestigious university would be forever gainfully employed, but nobody wanted to touch me. Um, and I do thank those, the former mayor Williams of Wilmington, Delaware, once my criminal case was over with, um, he gave me my first job as a consultant assistant of his, Dennis Williams. And he was the former state representative. And he left that position and went to be the mayor of Wilmington, Delaware. And he gave me my first start and start over. But it was horrific. But I lived to talk about it. And a lot of activists historically who went through what I went through, they didn't live to talk about this.
Yes, sir.
And so, because you're talking about very powerful people, powerful families, powerful institutions that have not changed in hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And so, whenever you start talking about them changing, they will come after you with full force and it will be continuous. They will use every measure to come after you. And no, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful
Yeah.
for everything.
So
And
for
if I had to do it again, I would. You know, I
I
would do it
heard
a
that.
little differently. I would do it a little differently, but I would do it again. And
That's what I
so,
was. That's what I was
yeah,
going to
because they are
ask
the
you.
ones that were wrong. I know that they were wrong.
That's
They
what I
were
was going.
wrong.
That's what I was going to ask you, Doctor Issa. So, what would you? Because there are those. I'm gonna read. I I'm sure you're looking at it as well, but I just want to. I want to. I want to honor these comments. Doug weighed in and said, Doctor Issa's courage can't be described in words. And then Anita weighed in and said, "Thank you, Dr. Issa. I'm moved by your testimony and will be working on the case of your friend and all the others." So what I want to ask you, Dr. Issa, now is, um, what words do you have for us, for those of us who look to further this
Well,
and drive this on?
yeah, you're doing the right thing. You have a right to to get to the bottom of this as citizens. You have that right. And the state must adhere to your demands. The state must stop acting like it's communist China. They want to talk about China so much.
Mm,
But what I experienced in Delaware, that was worse than China. Like I said, that was some Nazi German stuff. White supremacy to the core on every level. So when I saw the young people, because of George Floyd's murder, horrific murder. I'm in Africa watching this. I'm in Africa. I've been in Africa for the last 5 months, and I'm
mhm.
watching this, and I'm watching all these young people in Delaware standing up, going to jail, being arrested for black and white. I
Yeah.
was really inspired. I was shocked, but I
Mm,
was really, really inspired.
mm.
When all the young people in Wilmington came together.
Yes, sir.
And let me tell you something else. The state is scared too because they've never experienced this. So you guys have the momentum on your side.
Yes,
We
sir.
didn't have that. Me and Doug, we didn't. It was just me and him working together. We didn't have money. We just had a lot of heart,
Yeah.
right? And we wanted to get to the bottom of it. And I didn't know at the time that it was just a grand conspiracy. You know, I found out much later, but you guys have a right to get to the bottom of it. The state has to apologize. All those people who were responsible for this continuation, they're still in power in the state, right? Doug can point out all of the people, they're still in power. I can tell you examples of just going to the state capitol
Hmm.
and the repression in the state capitol. I mean, there was this one young white American, I say so-called white American, um, because I don't really get into the black and white stuff. I really talk about ethnicity, right? I'm not
Mm.
saying that I don't see race. Race matters, but as a social scientist, uh, hello, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
but there was a one white American. I don't remember her name. Doug may have. She told me and Doug that she had proof that lynchings were still going on. She saw pictures of black men hanging from bridges at another white person's home. Doug, he can remember her name. I can't remember the young lady's name, but she was in fearful for her life because she had these biracial children, and the bigoted European Americans in the state were coming after her, and she felt compelled to tell the truth about the lynchings, and she gave us a lot of serious information on ongoing lynchings. You
Now
know,
you
she had
said
pictures.
she had pictures of other
Oh yeah,
lynchings.
oh yeah.
So not the so
Not in the
not
1820s, not in the 1920s, of other lynchings, right? And like I said, Doug can tell you more about that,
in our state.
but in Delaware, brother, in Delaware, right?
So
And
these are
so,
these are outside of
no,
the
it's good.
Silver Lake lynchings.
When this was going on, I had a professor at Delaware State who's from Delaware, who walked up to me and said, "Look, I can't help you, about this." But he said, "Look, when I was walking in the woods in Delaware and seeing an actual lynching take place," he said, "me and my brother," he said, "about 30 years ago," he said, "I couldn't believe it." He said, "That's still," he said, he looked me in the face. He was in the chemistry department. He said, to this day, I can't," he said, I can never get this out of my mind." He said, "This is what most black people feel in the state, but if we say anything, something will happen to us." And so these type of things, I'm blown away. I'm like, man, they talk about Mississippi. This
So
is Delaware.
him and his brother
This
were
is
walking in the
Delaware.
woods
Him and
and
his brother.
witnessed a
He
lynch.
had no reason to lie to
Yeah,
me
yeah,
about this.
yeah.
He said, he said, "I can't get involved. They will take my job. They will come after me and my family." So Delaware has a lot of serious history. And we're talking about a man, Joe Biden. He's yet to repent on all the things that he's done to make the lives of African American males better. The whole prison complex. He signed a lot of this into legislation.
Yes,
You
yes.
know,
Now,
and he's not.
so you experienced. I'm sorry to excuse me for, but I'm excited. So I'm thinking we're at the. I want to be respectful of your time too, but I mean this is so. You just brought up the presidential hopeful Mr. Biden. Now you're going into that. I want to let's talk about it because we hear so much. I hear so much, and I see so much about this. Like he's this, and I'm just saying like he's this great white hope essentially. Um, I mean, even his comment to say like if you don't vote for me, you're not black or whatever that was. When he
Yeah.
made that when he
I
went
mean,
out on.
he was a segregationist, strong segregationalist. Um, I mean, look at his voting record as it pertains to black people. That should come up,
Yeah, yeah.
and it should come up right in Delaware. Either he apologizes for it, stuff should be up. Either he apologizes for it,
Mhm.
or he shouldn't be considered as president.
Now,
You
Doug
know,
just
there was a governor, I think out of Alabama, I believe, who was a staunch racist, and he was running for election, and he just decided to apologize for everything, and he became one of the best governors ever. And black people supported him. He was a staunch racist during the 50s and 60s,
mhm.
and he got on his knees and apologized and just conformed and said, "I was wrong. Forgive me." And he became one of the best allies, one of the best governors. And so Joe Biden has to apologize and admit that he was wrong on the vice president on many of his policies, and he needs to say that if he does become president, and even before he becomes president, that he needs to emphatically state that the lynchings in Delaware need to be fully investigated and anybody involved should be prosecuted to the fullest extent, right? And I'm
Right.
sure that the current Attorney General, if Vice President Joe Biden is elected as president, that the current Attorney General, Catherine Jennings, she may want something in his administration, right? So this
Right.
should be brought
Right.
up.
Right. Right.
I'm sure she has more political ambitions,
Right. Right.
right? And I'm going to say this, I'll never forget my uncle when I got arrested, and my uncle called me and told me to make these statements to the press
Mhm.
the day after my arrest. I said, I fear for my safety. I fear for the safety of my wife and children. If anything happens to me, it all can be blamed on the state apparatus, and the president of Delaware State University. And
Mm.
I think those statements, and I went on national public radio making those statements, and I think that protected me because I put these people's names out front. If anything happens to me,
Yeah.
it's these people who are to be fully investigated, right?
Yeah.
Because it was a cover up. So I'm giving you guys a lot of information. I wish I was healthy enough to to come back and help you guys, but it's just talking about it is so for me.
Yeah.
But
No,
it's
you.
enough out there. Press Lisa Blunt. Press her. She's the first African American Congresswoman of
Yeah.
the state. She should be briefed on this. Press Senator Combs. He knows about this, and he
Yeah.
did nothing, but he wants to say he's the civil rights attorney, right? The civil rights senator. Press presidential candidate Joe Biden and his team, right in Delaware. They should be pressed on this,
Yeah.
right? There's a record on this. There are court documents on this. There are human relations documents. There are Dover City Council documents. There are state documents. There are attorney general.
Still there, Dr. Issa. Seeing what's going on with Dr. Issa's connection. Doug said for extra credit, you see it down there in the comments. For extra credit, Google Delaware Judge William C. Bradley. All right. Okay. Dr. Issa just dropped out. Let me see if I could bring Doug on here. Um, Doug, where you at, man? Doug, giving us all that information down there. Appreciate you. Really appreciate you, man. The information is all on record. It's all on record. I just uh I just tried to add you in. The You see, I'm not sure if you see it. You see it there? And your comment there about about what Dr. Issa brought up, the young lady who had the pictures and the records of the lynchings, and she was oh, you got nothing? All right, let me see if I can let me see. Let me see. I just shot you that one. Yeah, they don't want you to come on, Doug. They're blocking you right now, man. They're blocking you. You got yeah, Dr. Issa. Man, thank you. Dr. Issa, thank you. You are you're a living legend, man. I really appreciate you, man. We appreciate you. 'Cause you went through it for us, man. Like we're trying to see if we could get Doug added on in here. Come on, Doug. Where you at, man? Most shocked expression. Let me see. It's like we're doing a blog talk then. Yeah, blog talk. Um, yeah, potentially, Katie. See, hey Doug, see if you could launch a live, man. See if you could launch a live and I'll try and attempt to jump into your live. Just like go live. Don't even don't even have to do a whole prep thing. Let me see if I can pull up in this other device here. If you go live, you see. See nothing. All right. Doug, we'll go do the yeah, you got it. Yep. Yeah. Go and see if you can do that now. I'm looking right now to see if I can jump if I catch like a you could just drop you could drop because I'm sure you got to drop out of here to see if you can go live. No form of fashion. We need this information to get out, man. We need this information to get out. Jameer said, mind blown and extremely heartbreaking because of all that Dr. Issa and Douglas has been through. Jameer, certainly, man. This it's like it's literally like it's like a different world when we become aware of these truths and these things that these men have endured and gone through. And it's almost like a movie. We think that these things that we've seen in the movies, are fiction, and we realize that right here, not only right here in the United States of America, but right here in this state of Delaware, as Doug referred to it earlier on in the comments. Um, he said and Doug has told me that in one-on-one conversation several times that Delaware, that the civil rights movement missed Delaware completely. And that's how he describes the state of Delaware, that that essentially these things that you think that these freedoms, these liberties that you would think are experienced by the residents, the citizens, the constituency here in our state of Delaware, that we're so progressive, and he's made me aware of our strong, powerful stature as the mailbox state, man. And what I mean by that is that the corporations, the corporations, they park here, right? They incorporate here, and there's a lot of power here in this small state. So there's a lot of interest in simply in just keeping certain things, certain information suppressed, and in the continual repression of people and oppression of the citizens here is a real thing. So much so that Dr. Issa shared with us, he was just on, that that there was a professor that came to him during his tenure there at Delaware State University, and essentially told him and expressed to him that him and his brother had wandered into the woods you know, 3 decades prior, which would have been 1980s, like, and witnessed a freaking lynching going on, stumbled upon a damn lynching right there in the woods in Delaware, that this is a normal thing. And then they brought up, they both, Doug in the comments and Dr. Issa on video, brought up the young lady, which they only want to refer to as Autumn, just for her protection and for her safety, that came to them with actual pictures, records, and documentation of actual lynchings that had gone on recently at that point in time, which their work was between 2012 and 2019, pretty much. So for them to have this interaction with this young lady, that means that this was within the last decade, that she has these pictures, these documents, and these, you know, these things of these lynchings that are going on, that are apart from the Silver Lake incidents, the ones that are known as strange fruit, that Doug has done so well, and like Dr. Issa said, in documenting these things as a journalist, and then all these documents that have been filed in court and through human relations committee meetings and official hearings and these things. So Katie, I know you're on it already. I know Anita's on it. I know, I know I know Jameer's on it. I know, like, we're gonna do what we need to do. We're gonna gather this documentation. We're gonna do everything that we need to do to push this thing. I was passionate about this, you know, but quite honestly, I thought, and some people in here can attest to this, I thought that it would be more beneficial for us to essentially I could say address it or attack it from a different angle or a different level, as opposed to, you know, fighting about this strange fruit thing and getting this thing right. But at this point in time now, after speaking live with Dr. Issa, and these conversations, these several conversations I've been privileged to have with Doug, where he's informed me of so much, man, I tell you, like, it's nothing else to do. We have to take this on. We have to do everything that we possibly can to expose every aspect of this. And like Dr. Issa said, and I'm gonna get off of here. I'm not sure if Doug is actually attempting to go live, but we essentially we gotta fight. We gotta continue to fight. After Dr. Issa, you heard what he said. You heard what he essentially what he told us. The commission that I believe, from what I heard, that he encouraged us to essentially move forward. He said that we had the momentum. The momentum is with us, and that he said he was inspired. It almost brings tears to my eyes, that because he's sitting in Ghana, he's sitting in West Africa, watching what's transpiring with George Floyd and what is happening as a response to George Floyd, in particular, what is happening and rising up here in Delaware, because of the fight that both he and Doug took head on, and, you know, and just a few others, that he was inspired. And I'm not sure if you saw, but it was tears that were even coming to his eyes at that point, that he was inspired by what he saw, the young people, what he saw. I'm gonna put myself in there, what he saw us, you know, standing up to do, to take on, that we're not afraid of the state, that we're not afraid of the elected officials. You heard Dr. Issa say that they should be afraid of us, that they have to answer to us. They need to answer for the things that they have done. He said hundreds and hundreds of years of this power structure that has been in place and has continued to oppress and repress the people and suppress truth and information, for the continued injustices to continue to just perpetuate and go on. And we've had enough of it, period. We've had enough of it. And after all that they've been through, and still choose to fight on. When I speak on the telephone with Doug, he's still full of the fight. He's still full of the fight. So I'm telling you that these gentlemen, that they are rooting, that they are pushing with us, and we can't stop now. We have to push on now. We have to further organize now, and we have to come together like never before. Never before. And we cannot be afraid of anything that is in front of us. And we have to understand, like Dr. Issa made us to understand, like he pointed out to us, that it is within our rights to get every answer and demand every bit of truth from the state, that they are answerable to us. They are answerable to us. And we need to comprehend that, and we need fear not, and we need to be full of faith, full of fire, full of passion, full of wisdom, full of truthful information as we march on. As we march on. And I'm serving whoever noticed. Like I said, this video is going to circulate. This video is going to be put out. This video is going to go everywhere that it possibly can go. And this is just the beginning. But I'm telling you, I'm serving notice that we are coming for the answers. We need answers, and we will continue to expose these things. And when I say we, I'm not talking about me and some people. I'm talking about a collective. I'm talking about an energy that will not be denied. Because you can do whatever you can and whatever you think you can to the physical man. You can, like you did like you tried to the Dover police, like you tried to intimidate Dr. Issa when he was laying in that hospital bed, before you all charged him with certain crimes, with ridiculous accusations, because you attempted to shut him up and make him go away. As you came to him, like he described, rolling up your sleeves, threatening him, as you came to him forcibly to sign paperwork to keep him quiet so that he wouldn't speak the truth about what it is that you all do and your tactics and your antics. I'm telling you, no more. And I know of quite a few people myself that are not going to stand for it. And they got a lot of people that are with them. So I'm telling you, I'm speaking, I don't even know who I'm speaking to right now, but I'm speaking directly to the power structure. And I'm telling you that we will not back down. We are not afraid. And as a matter of fact, now at this point in time, we are pretty much infuriated, and we are demanding even more than we were before. Dr. Issa, thank you. Doug, thank you. This is the beginning. This is the beginning, the new beginning. And we are going forward. We will not be denied. We will not be denied. I thank you all. Love you all. I'm going to get off of here before I get more passionate and more fired up. I'm going to make sure that this thing circulates. Look, hit me up, DM, message, instant message, wherever you happen to see this. Get in contact, get in touch, because we're organizing. We are organizing, and we are marching forward, straight up. Love.